The sky over New York was blue and calm. Birds flew between tall buildings. Cars moved slowly through the streets. It was a normal Tuesday morning, and nobody knew that in a few hours, nothing would ever be normal again. At exactly 9 a.m., every screen on Earth turned black. Phones stopped working. Televisions went silent. Traffic lights froze in place. For 10 seconds, the whole world held its breath. Then, one single message appeared. It showed on every phone, every television, every computer screen, in every country, in every language, at the exact same time. The message was short. Only one sentence. You have 24 hours to leave this planet. After that, everything will end. At first, people thought it was a joke. A hacker, maybe. A prank. Someone laughed nervously in a coffee shop in London. A man in Tokyo shook his head and turned his phone off, then on again. In Lagos, a mother told her children not to worry. It was probably just the internet acting strange. But then, everyone looked up. Above every major city in the world, giant shapes appeared in the sky. They were massive, dark, and silent. Each one was bigger than the tallest skyscraper. They did not make a sound. They did not move. They simply hung in the air, like dark clouds that refused to disappear. New York, London, Tokyo, Beijing, Moscow, Cairo, Sydney. Every capital city, every major population center, had one. People ran into the streets. Cars crashed into each other as drivers stopped to stare upward. Children cried. Old men fell to their knees and prayed. Within minutes, the entire planet knew one thing for certain. This was not a joke. This was not a prank. Something had arrived. In a small military base outside Colorado Springs, a young soldier named Ethan Cole stood frozen, staring at the screen in the command room. He was 26 years old, a communications specialist, and until this morning his biggest worry had been finishing a report before lunch. Now his hands were shaking. "Sir," Ethan said, turning to his commanding officer, Colonel Reyes. "The message, it's not just on our systems, it's everywhere. Every satellite, every network, every device with a screen." Colonel Reyes was a tall man in his 50s, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had seen many strange things in his years of service, but nothing like this. "Can we trace where it's coming from?" Reyes asked. Ethan shook his head. "It's not coming from anywhere on Earth, sir. The signal, it's coming from above." Everyone in the room turned to look at the large monitor showing a live satellite feed. A massive dark shape hovered above Denver, less than 2 hours away. "God help us," someone whispered. At the United Nations building in New York, world leaders gathered in an emergency meeting. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists filled the room, all talking at once, all afraid, all confused. "This has to be a hoax," said the American president, though his voice did not sound confident. "No nation on Earth has this kind of technology. This is impossible." "With respect, sir," said Dr. Amara Okafor, a scientist from Nigeria who specialized in astrophysics. "These are not human ships. Our telescopes detected them entering our solar system 3 days ago. We tracked them, but we did not understand what we were looking at. Now we do." The room went silent. "3 days ago?" the president asked. "Why weren't we told?" "Because," Dr. Okafor said quietly, "we did not believe it ourselves." A representative from Russia stood up. "What do they want? Why give us this warning? If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already, without any message." Nobody had an answer. Then, the large screen at the front of the room flickered. Every phone in the room buzzed at the same time. The message appeared again, but this time, it was longer. "You have 24 hours to leave this planet. After that, everything will end. This is not a threat from us. We are trying to save you." The room erupted into chaos. Shouting, arguing, fear. "Save us from what?" someone yelled. As if answering the question, a new image appeared on the screen. It showed a planet, but not Earth. This planet was cracked and burned, covered in deep black scars, with no oceans, no green land, no signs of life. It looked like a dead, broken rock floating in space. Below the image, 3 more words appeared. This was our home. Back in Colorado, Ethan Cole watched the same broadcast with wide eyes. The room around him had gone completely quiet. "That's their planet?" he whispered. "What happened to it?" Colonel Reyes stared at the image for a long time before speaking. "I don't know, son, but whatever did that to them, they're afraid it's coming here next." Suddenly, one of the young technicians in the room, a woman named Priya Sharma, called out from her station. "Sir, I'm getting something. A direct signal. It's trying to open a communication channel with us. Just us, this base." Everyone turned to look at her. "Why us?" Reyes asked. "Why this base? Out of every military base in the world." Priya's fingers moved quickly over her keyboard. "I don't know, sir, but the signal is stable. Should I accept it?" Reyes hesitated. Then he looked at Ethan. "Cole, you're our best communications officer. If this thing wants to talk, you're going to be the one who answers." Ethan felt his heart pounding in his chest. "Me, sir? You said it yourself. This is bigger than any of us imagined. We need answers, and we need them now. Open the channel." Priya nodded and pressed a button. The large screen flickered, and then for the first time humanity would hear something from the visitors that was not just a written message. A voice came through the speakers. It was calm, slow, and strange. Not quite human, but not robotic either. It sounded old, tired, and something else. Sad. "Do you understand our warning?" the voice asked. Ethan swallowed hard before answering. We saw your message. We saw the image of your planet. But we don't understand. What is coming? Why do we need to leave?" There was a pause. A long, heavy silence filled the room. Then the voice spoke again. "We do not have enough time to explain everything. What is coming will not listen to reason. It will not stop for questions. It has already destroyed 12 worlds before ours. Our planet was the 13th. Yours may be next unless you leave." 12 worlds? Ethan repeated, his voice shaking. "What kind of enemy destroys 12 entire worlds?" "We do not have a word for it in your language," the voice said. "But you will understand soon enough if you do not leave in time." Colonel Reyes stepped forward closer to the microphone. "Where can 6 billion people go in 24 hours? We don't have ships. We don't have the technology to leave this planet. Not like you do." Another pause. "We know," the voice said. "That is why we are giving you a choice we did not have. We are opening safe paths for as many as can reach them. Ships, shelters beneath the ground, places away from the surface. It will not be enough for everyone, but it will be enough for some." Ethan felt sick. "You're saying that most of us are going to die?" The voice did not answer right away. When it finally spoke again, it sounded almost gentle, almost apologetic. "We are sorry. We wish we had more time to give you. We wish someone had given us more time when it was our turn." There was something in those words that made the entire room go cold. "What do you mean, your turn?" Ethan asked slowly. "You said this thing already destroyed your planet. But you're still here. You still have ships, technology, ways to travel through space. How much of your world is left?" The voice was quiet for a long moment. "None of it," it finally said. "Our homeworld is gone. What you are speaking to now is what remains of our people. We are the ones who managed to leave in time. There are not many of us left." Ethan's throat tightened. He thought about his own family, his mother in Chicago, his younger sister still in college in Texas. 24 hours. How could anyone save the people they loved in 24 hours? "Please," Ethan said, his voice breaking slightly. "Tell us more. Tell us what this thing is. Tell us how to fight it, how to survive it, anything." The voice responded with words that would echo in Ethan's mind for the rest of his life. "There is no fighting it. There is only surviving it. Or not. We tried to fight. We had greater weapons than you can imagine, weapons built over thousands of years. None of it mattered. It came and it erased us the same way you erase writing from a page." "Erased?" Colonel Reyes asked sharply. "You don't mean It destroyed the planet? No, the voice said. Destruction leaves pieces behind, rubble, dust, ruins. This left nothing. One moment our world was there. The next, it simply was not, as if it had never existed at all. The room was completely silent. Even the constant hum of machines seemed to fade into nothing. How is that possible? Priya whispered from her station. We do not know, the voice admitted. In all our history, in all our knowledge, we never understood what it truly is. We only know that it comes, it watches, and then it removes. Ethan tried to steady his breathing. Removes what exactly? Everything, the voice said simply. The planet, the people, the memory of them ever being there. Nothing remains, no records, no signals, no trace in the stars. It is as if that place, and everyone in it, simply stops existing. A chill ran down every spine in the room. That's not possible. The American president's voice broke through, as he had apparently been listening from the emergency broadcast at the UN. Nothing can erase a planet from existence. Physics doesn't work that way. Your physics, the voice replied calmly. The voice continued. We do not know why it chooses certain worlds. We do not know what it is looking for, or if it is looking for anything at all. We only know the pattern. It arrives. It waits. And on the final day, it acts. How long do we have exactly, from the moment it arrives? Reyes asked. You said 24 hours. Is that when it will get here? Or is that how long we have before it starts? 24 hours from our first warning is when your solar system's threshold ends, the voice explained. That is not when it will arrive. That is when your planet crosses into the range it can no longer ignore. After that point, there is no controlling what happens. Ethan felt his hands go cold. So we have less than a full day to save as many people as we can. Yes. And you're telling us this. Why? What do you get from warning us? You could have just let it happen and stayed silent. There was the longest pause yet. When the voice finally answered, it sounded almost human in its sadness. Because no one warned us. We watched our world disappear, without ever understanding why, without ever having the chance to save even a single child, a single elder, a single memory of what we once were. We swore that if we ever found another world like ours, one filled with life, with laughter, with hope, we would not let them face what we faced, in silence. Ethan's eyes filled with tears he did not expect. He looked at Colonel Reyes, whose jaw was clenched tight, his eyes shining as well. Then help us, Ethan said. Please, tell us everything you know. Give us a chance. We already have, the voice said. We have given you paths, ships, shelters we can create in the time remaining. It is not enough, but it is everything we have. The rest is up to you. Humanity must decide, in the hours it has left, who it will save and how. The channel began to fade, the voice growing distant. Wait, Ethan shouted. Don't go. Tell us more, please. But the voice was already fading, as if the connection itself was weakening. We will speak again, it said, barely audible now, when the counting begins. Then silence. The screen went dark. The room stood frozen, no one daring to move or speak. Finally, Colonel Reyes turned to the room, his voice low and hoarse. Get me the Pentagon. Get me the President. Get me every base commander in this country, right now. As people scrambled to follow orders, Ethan remained standing, staring at the blank screen, the alien's final words echoing in his mind. When the counting begins. Outside, in cities across the world, the giant dark ships remained motionless in the sky, watching, waiting. And far above the Earth, at the very edge of human telescopes' reach, something new appeared in the darkness of space. A shape, massive, silent, moving slowly, steadily, toward the solar system. Nobody on Earth understood yet what it truly was. But in 23 hours, they would begin to find out. 6 hours had passed since the message first appeared. Across the world, panic had turned into something worse. Organized fear, In Colorado Springs, the command base had transformed into a storm of activity. Phones rang nonstop. Screens showed maps of every continent, marked with red zones, evacuation routes, and shelter locations. Soldiers ran from room to room carrying papers, shouting orders, trying to make sense of an impossible situation. Ethan Cole had not slept. He had not eaten. He stood at his station, eyes red from exhaustion, watching numbers scroll across his screen, numbers that represented people. Millions of them, all trying to find a way to survive the next 18 hours. "Cole," Colonel Reyes called out, walking toward him with a tablet in his hand. "The President wants direct communication with the alien vessel again. He wants answers about these safe paths they mentioned." Ethan nodded, trying to focus. "I'll try to reopen the channel, sir, but I don't know if they'll respond." Before he could even try, the large screen in the command room flickered on its own. The same calm, tired voice returned, filling the room. "You wish to speak with us again," the voice said. It was not a question. Ethan quickly typed a command, opening the base's speaker system. "Yes. Our leaders need to know more about the paths you mentioned. The ships, the shelters. Where are they? How do people reach them?" "The information has already been sent," the voice replied. "Check your networks. Every device on your planet now holds a map." Priya Sharma, sitting nearby, gasped and grabbed her phone. Her screen showed a glowing map of the world, with small blue markers spread across every continent. "Sir, they're right," she said, showing her screen to Reyes. "There are hundreds of these markers. Some are near coastlines, some are underground, some are in open fields, in the middle of nowhere." "What are they?" Reyes asked the voice directly. "Transport points," the voice answered. "Some will take your people to our ships in orbit where they will remain safe until the danger passes, if it passes. Others lead to shelters beneath your planet's surface, built by us in the last 3 days, strong enough to survive what is coming for those who choose to stay near their home." 3 days? Ethan repeated, stunned. "You built underground shelters in 3 days? That's not possible." "For you, no," the voice said simply. "For us, it was already almost too late." Reyes leaned closer to the microphone. "How many people can these shelters and ships hold combined? Earth has almost 8 billion people." There was a pause. When the voice answered, its tone had changed slightly. Heavier, more careful. 200 million. The room went completely silent. 200 million? Reyes said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Out of 8 billion? We are sorry," the voice said. "We built as much as we could, as fast as we could. It is not enough. It was never going to be enough. But it is more than 0, which is what we had when it was our turn." Ethan felt his stomach twist into a painful knot. 200 million people. Out of almost 8 billion. The math was horrifying, impossible to accept. And yet it was the only offer on the table. "How do you choose who goes?" Ethan asked quietly. "Who decides which 200 million people get to live?" "That," the voice said, "is not for us to decide. That choice belongs to you. It always has." The channel went quiet again, the connection fading as it had before. Across the world, the same conversation was happening in different rooms, different languages, different governments. But the question remained the same, impossible and cruel. Who gets to survive? In London, the British Prime Minister argued with his cabinet about prioritizing scientists, engineers, and young children. In Beijing, officials debated a lottery system, believing it was the only fair way. In small villages in Africa, in towns in South America, in cities across Asia, ordinary people faced an impossible truth. There would not be room for everyone, and no one could promise fairness in a crisis this large. Riots broke out in several major cities as rumors spread that governments were secretly saving only the rich and powerful. In some places, people fought over the exact locations of the alien transport points, desperate to be first in line, even without knowing what waited on the other side. Ethan watched news feeds showing chaos in the streets, people pushing, screaming, climbing over each other near shelter entrances. It was a version of humanity he wished he had never seen. "This is falling apart," Priya said, watching the same footage beside him. "We're supposed to be working together, but everyone's just trying to save themselves." "Can you blame them?" Ethan asked quietly. "If you had 18 hours left with your family, what would you do?" Priya didn't answer. She didn't need to. They both knew the truth. Fear made people forget who they wanted to be. While the world outside spiraled into chaos, Dr. Amara Okafor sat in a quiet room at the United Nations building, surrounded by screens showing data from telescopes around the world. She had not left her seat in hours, her eyes fixed on numbers that made less and less sense the longer she stared at them. A young researcher, David Kim, rushed into the room, breathless. "Dr. Okafor, you need to see this." He placed a tablet in front of her, showing images from a deep space telescope in Chile. "What am I looking at?" Amara asked, squinting at the screen. "It's the object," David said. "The one the aliens mentioned. We've been tracking it for the past 2 hours since they gave us the coordinates. Look at its speed." Amara studied the numbers, her frown deepening. "This can't be right. Nothing moves this fast. Not naturally. Not even close." "That's what I thought too," David said. "So I checked it 3 times. The math holds. Whatever this thing is, it's moving faster than anything we've ever recorded. If it maintains this speed, it will reach the edge of our solar system in..." He paused, hesitating. "In how long?" Amara asked. 17 hours. Amara closed her eyes for a moment, absorbing the number. 17 hours. Less than a full day, and something faster than any human weapon, any human ship, any human understanding would arrive at the edge of their solar system. "Does it have a shape?" she asked. "A size? Anything we can identify?" David shook his head. "That's the strange part. Our telescopes can track its movement through gravitational distortion, the way it bends light around it. But we can't get a clear image. It's like it's not fully there. Like it exists between what we can see and what we can't." "Show the images to the aliens," Amara said. "Ask them if this matches what destroyed their planet." David nodded and quickly sent the data through the emergency communication channel that had been set up between UN scientists and the alien representatives. The response came within minutes, the same tired voice speaking through the room's speakers. "Yes," the voice confirmed. "This is what we warned you about." "What is it?" Amara asked directly. "You called it before, without a name. Do you have no name for something that has destroyed 12 worlds?" "We had a name for it once," the voice said. "In our language, it means something close to the quiet end. But names do not matter now. What matters is understanding its pattern, if you wish to survive it." "Then tell us the pattern," Amara said firmly. "Everything you know. We don't have time for mysteries." The voice paused, as if considering how much to reveal. "It does not attack randomly," the voice finally said. "It studies. It watches a world for a length of time, learning, observing, before it decides. We do not know what it looks for exactly. Some of our scientists believed it searched for danger, for civilizations capable of expanding beyond their world, of becoming threats to others. Others believed it searched for something else entirely, something we could never fully understand." "Threats?" Amara repeated. "You mean it destroys advanced civilizations because they're dangerous?" "Perhaps," the voice said. "Our civilization had reached the stars, colonized nearby worlds, built weapons capable of great destruction. We were, by many definitions, dangerous. And yet, other worlds we know of, worlds far less advanced than yours, worlds with no space travel, no complex technology, were also erased before us. So the pattern is not simple. It does not only target power." Amara's mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of information. "So it's not about power. Then what determines who lives and who's erased?" "We do not know for certain," the voice admitted, "but we noticed one similarity between every world it destroyed, including our own." "What similarity?" Every world it destroyed had achieved contact between different civilizations before their end. Whether through war, through diplomacy, or through discovery of others like themselves among the stars, contact had been made. It is as if it waits for that moment, the moment two different intelligent species become aware of one another. The room went cold. But we haven't made contact with anyone, David said quickly. Not until you arrived. There was a heavy silence on the other end of the channel. Amara felt the blood drain from her face as the full weight of those words settled over her. You're saying your arrival, your warning, might be the very thing that triggers it to act on Earth. We do not know for certain, the voice repeated, though its tone carried unmistakable guilt. But it is possible. It may be why the timing of its approach matches so closely with our arrival here. Then why did you come? David asked, his voice rising with anger and fear. If your presence here might be what dooms us, why would you risk it? The answer came slowly, heavy with sorrow. Because the alternative was worse. If it truly targets worlds the moment they achieve contact, then it was likely already tracking your solar system, waiting for the moment humanity looked to the stars and found something looking back. That moment was coming, with or without us. We simply chose to arrive first to give you a chance neither we nor the 11 other worlds before us ever had. Amara sat back in her chair, trying to process the impossible truth in front of her. Humanity's first contact with another intelligent species may have been the spark that ended everything. And yet, without that contact, they would have had no warning at all. Is there truly no way to stop it? She asked, her voice quieter now. No weapon, no defense, nothing your people tried. We tried many things, the voice said. Weapons of energy beyond your understanding. Attempts at communication, in every form we knew. Attempts to hide, to shield our world from its detection. Nothing worked. It found us regardless. It simply came. Then what's the point of any of this? David asked bitterly. The shelters, the ships, the warnings. If nothing can stop it, why bother giving us any hope at all? The voice's answer was slow, careful, filled with something that almost sounded like desperate hope. Because in 12 worlds, in 12 endings, we have learned one thing. It does not always take everything. Sometimes fragments survive. Sometimes when the shelters are deep enough, when the ships are far enough, small numbers manage to endure. We are proof of that ourselves. We do not know why some survive and some do not, but it is not always absolute. There is still a chance, however small. Amara looked at David, both of them absorbing the terrible, fragile hope in those words. Then we need to move faster, she said, standing up. We need to get this information to every government immediately. If contact is truly the trigger, we need to know if leaving Earth's surface, going underground, or reaching the ships changes anything about our chances. Location may matter, the voice confirmed. Those who reach greater distances from the surface, whether below ground or above the atmosphere, historically had higher chances of survival. We do not know why, but the pattern holds across every world we have witnessed fall. Back in Colorado, Ethan received the transmitted report from the UN, his hands trembling as he read through the data on his screen. The information spread through the command center like wildfire, whispered from soldier to soldier, technician to technician. It's not just a warning anymore, Priya said, staring at her own screen in disbelief. It's a countdown to something that might have already been coming for us before they even arrived. Ethan rubbed his tired eyes, trying to make sense of a truth too large to fully comprehend. So no matter what we do, it might not matter. We could evacuate everyone perfectly, and it still might erase this planet completely. Or, Priya said, her voice trying to hold on to something steady, we could do everything right, and it might not take everything. Some of us could survive, like they did. Colonel Reyes walked over, his face grim but resolute. Then that's exactly what we're going to fight for. Not victory, survival. Every person we can save, every family we can move to safety, matters. We're not going to sit here and wait for the end. We're going to give as many people as possible a chance. As the base buzzed with renewed determination, a large digital clock appeared on every screen across the command center, then across the entire world simultaneously. Bright red numbers, impossible to ignore, began ticking downward. 23, 58, 47, 23, 58, 46, 23, 58, 45. Every phone, every television, every billboard, every screen on the planet displayed the same countdown, perfectly synchronized, a constant reminder of the little time that remained. Ethan stared at the numbers, feeling the weight of every second passing. "They're really doing this," he whispered, timing the entire end of the world down to the second. Colonel Reyes placed a firm hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Then we use every one of those seconds. Get me an open line to every base commander right now. We start moving people immediately." As chaos and determination mixed together across the globe, humanity began its desperate race against time, evacuating cities, filling shelters, boarding unfamiliar alien ships waiting silently above their skies. Far above the Earth, deep in the darkness of space, the unknown object continued its unstoppable approach, closer with every passing second, and on the screens across the world, the countdown continued its merciless march toward zero. 23, 41, 12, 23, 41, 11, 23, 41, 10. Nobody knew, not truly, what would happen when it finally reached zero. But in 23 hours and 41 minutes they would find out. 20 hours had passed. Only 4 remained. The world had changed completely. Cities that once buzzed with traffic and noise now stood eerily quiet. Streets were empty, shops abandoned, homes left with doors wide open. Millions had already boarded the strange alien ships hovering silently above, or descended into the deep shelters built into the earth. Millions more had refused to leave, choosing to stay in their homes with their families no matter what came. No. In Colorado Springs, the command base had grown quieter too, though not from peace. Most personnel had been ordered to evacuate to the nearest shelter hours ago. Only a small skeleton crew remained, including Colonel Reyes, Ethan Cole, and Priya Sharma, along with a handful of soldiers who had volunteered to stay behind. "You should go," Reyes told Ethan for the 3rd time that hour. "There's a transport point 20 minutes from here. You still have time." Ethan shook his head, his eyes fixed on the monitors in front of him. "Someone needs to keep this channel open, sir. If they try to contact us again, if there's any new information, I need to be here to receive it." Reyes studied the young soldier for a long moment, then nodded, understanding. He had stopped trying to convince himself he could order anyone to leave anymore. Everyone remaining had made their own choice. Priya sat at her station, tears quietly running down her face as she watched a video call with her parents in India, who had refused to leave their home village. "Please," she begged them again. "There's still time. The transport point is close to you." Her mother's tired but calm voice came through the speaker. "We have lived our whole lives in that house, my dear. If this is truly the end, we would rather face it together, in the place we love, than run somewhere unfamiliar and afraid. Do not worry about us. Save yourself." Priya wiped her eyes, unable to argue anymore. "I love you both." "We love you too. Whatever happens, we are proud of you." The call ended. Priya sat in silence for a moment, then straightened her shoulders and returned to her work, refusing to let her grief stop her from doing what she could. At the United Nations building, Dr. Amara Okafor and David Kim had not left the science lab in over 18 hours. Coffee cups littered every surface. Screens showed constant updates from telescopes across the world, all tracking the same object, now closer than ever. "Status update," Amara said, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "It's slowing down," David said, staring at the numbers in disbelief. "For the first time since we started tracking it, its speed is decreasing." Amara leaned forward. "Slowing down? Why would it slow down now?" "I don't know," David admitted. "But at this rate, it will stop completely right at the edge of our solar system. Right around..." He checked the countdown clock on the wall. "Right around hour 24. Amara felt a chill run through her body. It's timing its arrival perfectly with the deadline it gave us. Or, David said quietly, the deadline was based on when it would arrive all along. The aliens didn't choose 24 hours randomly. They calculated exactly when this thing would reach us. Amara reached for the communication channel, opening a direct line to the alien representatives one more time. We need to speak with you. Now. The familiar voice responded almost immediately, though it sounded different this time. More urgent, less calm than before. We are listening. The object is slowing down, Amara said. It's going to stop right at the edge of our solar system, exactly at hour 24. Is this normal? Is this what happened before it reached your planet? There was a pause, longer than usual. Yes, the voice finally said. This is the same pattern we witnessed before our own ending. It stops, it waits, and then, without warning, it acts. How long does it wait, typically, before it acts? Amara asked, her heart pounding. It varies, the voice admitted. Sometimes minutes, sometimes hours. We do not know why the timing differs between worlds. But once it stops, the ending is never far behind. David's hands trembled as he typed frantically at his keyboard. Dr. Okafor, look at this. He turned his screen toward her, showing a new set of data. The alien homeworld's telescopes, the ones that have been broadcasting silently this entire time, monitoring deep space, just went offline. Amara's breath caught in her throat. Offline? What does that mean? What? It means, David said slowly, that whatever remains of their monitoring systems out near their old solar system just stopped transmitting. All of it. At the exact same moment. Amara immediately relayed this information through the open channel. Your monitoring systems near your homeworld's location just went silent. Do you know why? This time, the silence on the other end stretched on so long that Amara wondered if the connection had been lost entirely. Finally, the voice spoke, and for the first time since contact began, it sounded genuinely frightened. That is not possible, the voice said. Those systems were built to last for centuries beyond any interference. Nothing should be capable of silencing them, unless... The voice stopped abruptly. Unless what? Amara pressed. Unless it has returned there, the voice finished. Unless the quiet end has gone back to finish what remains of our homeworld's location, erasing even what little evidence remained of our system ever existing. David looked up, his face pale. Why would it go back? It already destroyed your planet. What's left to erase? We do not know, the voice admitted. Perhaps it is not truly finished until nothing remains. Perhaps it circles back to remove any lasting trace, any signal, any memory left behind. We had hoped, foolishly perhaps, that some remnant of our world's existence would remain in the empty space where our planet once was. It seems even that hope was misplaced. Amara closed her eyes, absorbing the horrifying implication. Whatever this thing was, it did not simply destroy. It erased with a thoroughness beyond anything humanity could comprehend. We need to warn Colorado Springs, she said suddenly, opening a channel to the military base, and every base still monitoring the approaching object. Something new might be happening. Back in Colorado, Ethan's screen flashed with the incoming emergency transmission from the UN science team. He listened carefully as Amara relayed the disturbing update about the alien homeworld's monitoring systems going silent. So it might already be doing something we can't detect, Ethan said slowly, processing the information. Something beyond what we're capable of observing. That's our fear, yes, Amara's voice confirmed through the speaker. Keep everyone alert. We don't know what to expect next. Ethan ended the call and turned to Colonel Reyes, who had been listening from across the room. Reyes's expression was grim, but steady. 3 hours and 40 minutes left, Reyes said, checking the countdown clock glowing on the main screen. Whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. Priya suddenly sat up straight at her station. Sir, I'm picking up something. A new transmission, but it's not from the aliens. It's something else. What do you mean, something else? Ethan asked, moving quickly to her side. Priya's fingers flew across her keyboard, isolating the strange signal. It's not language, not like any communication we've received before. It's almost like a pulse, a rhythm, repeating over and over. She played the signal through the speakers. A low, deep humming sound filled the room, rising and falling in a strange, unsettling pattern, like a heartbeat slowed down to an impossible pace. Colonel Reyes frowned. Where is this coming from? Priya checked her screen, her face growing paler with every second. Sir, it's coming from the object, the one approaching our solar system. It's broadcasting this signal, and it's getting stronger. Ethan felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Is it trying to communicate with us? I don't think so, Priya said slowly. I think it's just existing. Like, this sound is simply what it is, whether we're listening or not. The three of them stood in silence, listening to the strange alien pulse fill the empty command room. Suddenly the alien voice returned through their communication channel, sharper and more urgent than ever before. You are hearing it, the voice said. It was not a question. Yes, Ethan answered. What is it? That is the sound our scientist recorded moments before our homeworld's ending, the voice said. We had hoped never to hear it again. If you are hearing it now through your own systems, it means... The voice hesitated. It means what? Reyes demanded. It means it has already reached the edge of your solar system, the voice finished. Earlier than we calculated, the timeline has changed. The room froze. How much earlier? Ethan asked, dread building in his chest. We do not know precisely, the voice admitted, but if the pattern holds as it did with us, the ending may come faster than the 24-hour mark we originally warned you of. Reyes immediately turned to the nearest soldier. Get me every commander right now. Tell every remaining evacuation point to move faster. We might not have as much time as we thought. As chaos erupted through the base's remaining communication lines, Ethan stared at the countdown clock, still displaying 03:22:14, ticking steadily downward. But now, that number felt like a lie. Nobody truly knew how much time remained. Hours blurred together in a haze of frantic activity. Reports flooded in from around the world, evacuation points overwhelmed, shelters reaching capacity, ships preparing for final departure from Earth's atmosphere. The strange pulsing sound continued to grow louder, now detectable by ordinary radio signals, no longer requiring specialized equipment to hear. People across the world, even those without access to news or screens, began to hear the faint, unsettling hum through their radios, through their phones, through anything capable of receiving a signal. It was as if the very air itself was announcing the approach of something ancient and unstoppable. At exactly hour 23, 1 hour before the original deadline, everything changed at once. Every telescope on Earth, every satellite still functioning, every deep space monitoring system simultaneously lost contact with the location where the alien homeworld's remaining monitoring outposts had been. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply gone, as if they had never existed. In the science lab at the United Nations, David Kim stared at his screen in horrified silence. Dr. Okafor, he said, his voice barely a whisper. It's gone. All of it. Every remaining trace of their homeworld system, completely gone. Amara felt her blood run cold as she stared at the empty data feed. Confirm it. Check every possible angle, every backup system we have. David's hands moved frantically across his keyboard, checking and rechecking every source available. Each result came back the same. It's confirmed, he finally said. Their entire star system. It's just not there anymore, not destroyed, erased like it was never there to begin with. Amara immediately opened the emergency channel to the alien representatives, her voice trembling as she spoke. Your entire star system, all remaining traces of it, just disappeared from our observations. Can you confirm this on your end? There was no immediate answer. Please, Amara pleaded. We need to know what this means for us. Finally, after a long, heavy silence, the voice responded, and for the first time it did not sound calm or composed. It sounded afraid. We confirm, the voice said. Our homeworld's location, the empty space where our world once existed, along with all monitoring systems we left behind, is now completely gone from our own instruments as well. What does that mean? Amara demanded. Why would it erase empty space? There's nothing left there to destroy. We believe, the voice said slowly, that it does not simply destroy planets. It removes entire regions of existence connected to whatever it targets. Perhaps it considers even the memory, the location, the very space where a world once stood, as something requiring removal. David's voice shook as he spoke. If that's true, and it's already done that to your system, less than an hour before the deadline it originally gave to us. He didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood the terrifying implication. Its priorities may have shifted, the voice confirmed grimly. If it has already finished with what remained of our system, its focus may now be entirely on yours. Amara closed her eyes, steadying herself against the overwhelming fear rising within her. Then it could arrive here at any moment regardless of the countdown. Yes, the voice admitted. I am sorry. We believed we had calculated correctly. We were wrong. Across the world, sirens began sounding in cities that still had populations remaining. Emergency broadcasts urged immediate evacuation for anyone not yet at a shelter or transport point. Panic surged once more, as humanity, already exhausted and terrified, faced the horrifying possibility that their remaining time might be far shorter than promised. In Colorado, Ethan watched the emergency broadcasts flooding every channel, his heart pounding in his chest. The pulsing hum from the approaching object grew louder still, now audible even without any electronic device. A deep vibration felt through the ground itself. Sir, Priya said, her voice trembling, something's happening outside. Colonel Reyes moved quickly to the nearest window, Ethan following close behind. What they saw outside made their blood run cold. The dark alien ship that had hovered silently above Colorado Springs for the past 23 hours was moving. For the first time since its arrival, it was retreating, rising rapidly into the atmosphere, joining countless other similar ships visible in the distance, all moving away from the planet's surface at incredible speed. They're leaving, Ethan whispered. The aliens are leaving Earth's orbit. Colonel Reyes's voice was grim. That's not a good sign. Ethan rushed back to the communication console, desperately trying to reopen the channel. Why are your ships retreating? What's happening? The voice responded immediately, its tone urgent and filled with genuine dread. Our ships must retreat to a safe distance. We cannot risk remaining within range when it arrives. I am sorry, but we can no longer guarantee any further assistance from this point forward. Wait, Ethan pleaded. You can't just leave us now. Not when we don't even understand what's happening. I am sorry, the voice repeated, fading rapidly as the connection weakened. We have given you everything we could. The rest is now beyond our control. The channel went completely silent, the connection severed entirely. Ethan stared at the blank screen, his heart pounding, his mind racing. Outside, the sky had grown eerily dark, despite it still being daytime. A strange shadow began creeping across the horizon, swallowing sunlight in its path. Colonel Reyes stood beside him, his face pale as he watched the growing darkness outside the window. Ethan, he said quietly, his voice steady despite the fear evident in his eyes. I think it's here. Above them, blocking the sun entirely for one impossible, terrifying moment, an enormous shadow passed silently across the sky, larger than anything humanity had ever witnessed before vanishing as suddenly as it had appeared. The room fell into absolute silence, broken only by the frantic beeping of alarms and the distant sound of sirens still echoing across the abandoned city outside. Ethan turned slowly to Colonel Reyes, his voice barely a whisper. What do we do now? Reyes had no answer, because in that moment, for the first time since the nightmare began, nobody, not the scientists, not the soldiers, Not even the aliens who had already lived through this exact horror once before knew what would happen next. The shadow was gone. The sky was blue again. The sun still shone over Colorado Springs, over New York, over every city that had feared, only moments ago, that it would never see daylight again. But nothing had been destroyed. Ethan stood frozen at the window, staring up at the empty sky, waiting for anything to happen. Seconds passed, then minutes. The pulsing hum that had haunted every radio and screen for the past hour had suddenly stopped, replaced by an eerie, confusing silence. "It's not attacking," Priya said slowly, checking her instruments. "Sir, I don't understand. Every sensor shows the object is still here, right at the edge of our atmosphere. But it's not doing anything." Colonel Reyes frowned, moving quickly back to the command console. "Get me eyes on it. Any visual data we can find." Within minutes, satellite feeds began streaming images to the main screen. What they showed left everyone in the room speechless. The object was massive, larger than anything they had imagined, easily the size of a small moon. But its shape was unlike anything expected. It was not a ship, not a weapon, not a machine of destruction in any traditional sense. It looked almost organic, covered in shifting patterns of light and shadow, constantly changing, as if it were alive. "What is that?" Ethan whispered. Before anyone could answer, the communication channel flickered back to life. The alien voice returned, though it sounded different now, filled with confusion rather than fear. "This should not be happening," the voice said. "It has stopped. It never stopped before, not with any other world." "What do you mean, stopped?" Reyes demanded. "Is it waiting? Is it preparing something worse?" "We do not know," the voice admitted. "In every previous instance, once it arrived, it acted almost immediately. Every world before yours was gone within minutes of its arrival. Yours has now waited nearly 10 minutes with no action taken." Amara's voice suddenly joined the channel, patched in from the United Nations lab. "We're seeing the same thing here. It's just floating there, watching maybe, but not attacking." "Why would it hesitate now, after 12 worlds?" David's voice added. "What's different about Earth?" There was a long pause before the alien voice responded, almost hesitant to speak the thought forming in its mind. "Perhaps it is not hesitating. Perhaps it is deciding something it has never needed to decide before." "Deciding what?" Ethan asked. "We do not know," the voice admitted. "But if it is truly considering something new, this may be the only opportunity your species will ever have to communicate with it directly, if such a thing is even possible." Ethan looked at Colonel Reyes, both of them realizing the impossible weight of what was being suggested. "You want us to talk to it?" Ethan asked. "The thing that erased 12 entire worlds?" "We tried once," the voice admitted. "It never responded, not in any way we could understand. But we never had the chance you have now. It has never paused before. Perhaps this pause means it is listening in a way it never has before." Reyes turned to Ethan, his expression serious. "Cole, you've been our voice through all of this. If there's any chance at all, to change what's coming, I need you to try." Ethan's hands were shaking as he moved to the communication console. He had spent the last 23 hours as a translator between two civilizations. Now humanity needed him to attempt something no one had ever done before, reaching out to the very thing that had ended countless worlds before theirs. Taking a deep breath, Ethan opened every channel available, broadcasting not just from Colorado, but through every connected system across the planet, hoping that somehow, some way, his words would reach whatever intelligence, if any, existed within that massive drifting shape above them. "We don't know if you can understand us," Ethan began, his voice trembling but steady. "We don't know if you're even capable of listening, but we're asking you to listen anyway." He paused, gathering his thoughts, aware that billions of people across the world were now watching, listening, hoping alongside him. "You've destroyed 12 worlds before ours. Maybe you had reasons we can't understand. Maybe you're following patterns beyond our comprehension. But we're not going to pretend we understand you. We're just going to tell you who we are. Ethan glanced at Colonel Reyes, who nodded for him to continue. We're a young species. We've only just begun exploring the stars. We've made terrible mistakes, fought wars among ourselves, hurt each other in ways we're not proud of. But we've also created incredible things. We've cured diseases that once killed millions. We've built machines that let us see galaxies billions of light years away. We've written songs, painted pictures, told stories, simply because we wanted to share beauty with each other, not because we had to. He took a shaky breath, his voice growing stronger with each word. In the last 23 hours since we learned you might destroy everything we've ever known, we didn't just run. We didn't just hide. We tried to save as many of each other as we could, even knowing we couldn't save everyone. Parents gave up their spots on ships so their children could live. Strangers helped strangers reach safety, even when it cost them their own chance to survive. We fought, we cried, we prayed, but through all of it we tried to hold on to who we are. The room was If you're truly deciding something right now, something you've never had to decide before, then maybe that's because you've never encountered a species like us before. Maybe every world before ours gave up too quickly, or fought too fiercely, or begged too desperately. We're not doing any of that. We're standing here, offering you the truth of who we are, and asking you, simply, to see us before you decide our fate. Ethan finished speaking, his heart pounding as silence stretched on, unbearable and endless. Seconds passed, then a full minute. The massive shape above Earth remained motionless, its strange shifting patterns continuing their silent dance across its surface. Then, something changed. The patterns of light across the object's surface began moving faster, brighter, forming shapes that almost resembled human faces, animals, landscapes, as if it were somehow processing everything humanity had ever created, cycling through fragments of art, culture, and history in mere seconds. What's it doing? Priya whispered, watching the screen in amazement. I don't know, Amara's voice answered through the channel, equally stunned. It's like it's searching through something, analyzing us. The alien voice, still connected through the channel, spoke with cautious wonder. In all our history and all the worlds we witnessed fall, we have never seen it respond in such a way. This is unprecedented. For nearly 5 agonizing minutes, the object continued its strange display, patterns swirling and shifting endlessly across its massive form. Then suddenly, everything stopped. Silence fell across the world. Then, for the first time in the history of contact between species, the object spoke. Its voice was unlike anything humanity had heard before. Neither mechanical nor organic, but something entirely different, resonating not through speakers but seemingly through the minds of everyone listening simultaneously, in every corner of the globe. We have observed. Ethan felt a shiver run through his entire body. Every person on Earth watching news broadcasts, listening on radios, or standing outside staring at the sky, heard the same 2 words in that exact moment. We have observed. We have decided. The world held its breath. 12 worlds before yours failed to see themselves clearly. They begged for mercy without understanding what they were, or they fought with weapons without understanding what they could become. You have done neither. You have shown us truth without asking for pity, without pretending to be perfect. This is new. This is different. The alien voice, still connected through Ethan's channel, spoke with quiet astonishment. We have never witnessed communication of this kind before. Not from it. Not ever. The massive object above Earth continued speaking, its presence somehow filling every mind simultaneously with an understanding beyond simple words. We do not destroy worlds out of cruelty. We remove threats before they spread beyond control. Threats to countless other worlds not yet discovered, not yet known. Every world before yours grew in ways that endangered what lies beyond their reach. You have grown differently. You have shown care even in your darkest hour, even when survival alone should have consumed all thought. Tears filled Ethan's eyes as the weight of those words settled over him. Beside him, Colonel Reyes stood in stunned silence, his hardened expression softened by disbelief and cautious hope. We will not erase you. The words echoed across the entire planet, heard simultaneously by billions of people in homes, in shelters, in ships still floating above the Earth's surface, in every corner of the world that had spent the last 24 hours preparing for an unavoidable end. But know this: we will watch. If you grow to endanger what lies beyond your world, we will return. Your choices, from this moment forward, will determine the fate not only of your own kind, but potentially countless others you have yet to discover. With those final words, the massive object began to move, retreating slowly from Earth's orbit, its strange, shifting patterns fading into darkness as it departed, moving back into the depths of space from which it had come. For a long moment, nobody in the command room spoke. Nobody moved. The reality of what had just happened felt too large, too impossible to fully comprehend. Then Priya broke the silence, tears streaming down her face as she laughed in disbelief. We're still here. We survived." Colonel Reyes let out a long breath he seemed to have been holding for hours, placing a firm hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You did that, son. Whatever just happened, you did that." Ethan shook his head, overwhelmed. "I didn't do anything except tell the truth." "Sometimes," Reyes said quietly. "That's all it takes." Across the world, celebrations erupted as people realized the danger had passed. Families who had said what they believed were final goodbyes now embraced each other in disbelief and joy. Ships that had begun evacuating Earth's population slowly returned, their passengers eager to return home. Shelters opened their doors, releasing millions back into the sunlight they feared they might never see again. At the United Nations building, Dr. Amara Okafor sat back in her chair, exhausted but smiling for the first time in over a day. David Kim looked at her, his eyes filled with disbelief and gratitude. "We actually did it," he said softly. "Humanity actually survived this." Amara nodded, though her expression remained thoughtful. "We survived because we showed who we truly are, even when we had every reason to become something worse." The alien representatives, whose homeworld had been the 13th to fall to the mysterious entity, remained in contact with Earth's leaders in the days that followed. Though their own world was gone forever, they expressed quiet gratitude that humanity's fate had ended differently than their own. "We have never witnessed an outcome such as this," the familiar voice told Ethan during one of their final conversations. "Perhaps in some way, your survival gives meaning to what remains of our own loss." "Thank you," Ethan said sincerely, "for warning us, for giving us the chance you never had." "Thank you," the voice replied, "for proving that chance could be enough." Weeks later, life on Earth slowly began returning to normal, though nothing would ever truly be the same again. Humanity had faced an impossible truth, an existential threat beyond anything previously imagined, and had emerged not through weapons or power, but through honesty, compassion, and shared humanity in its most difficult hour. Ethan Cole stood outside the Colorado Springs base one evening, looking up at a clear night sky filled with countless stars, wondering how many other worlds existed among them, how many other civilizations might one day face the same impossible choice his own world had just survived. Colonel Reyes walked up beside him, following his gaze toward the stars. "You ever think about what's out there now?" Reyes asked. "Really out there?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Every day. But I think, for the first time, I'm not scared of what we might find." "Why's that?" Ethan smiled softly, remembering the words that had saved his entire world. "Because whatever we find out there, wherever we go from here, we've already proven who we are, and apparently, that's enough." Above them, the stars continued their silent, endless watch, indifferent to the small, fragile planet below, yet forever changed by what had happened there. Somewhere among those countless points of light, something vast and ancient continued its journey through the universe, carrying with it a memory unlike any other in its long, quiet history. The memory of a world that chose truth over fear, compassion over desperation, and in doing so, earned something no other civilization ever had.